Hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. We're going to talk today about what it means to create expert led growth and what it looks like to use your unique method to build a certification program, licensing, or scalable offer that isn't reliant on you. Now, I'm super excited about this episode because if I'm being honest, there's not really a place for us experts to grow, to flex our innovation and carve out new pathways because experts don't operate like non experts, yet we're forced to use the same strategies and growth models meant for everyone. And that's not the case here. We believe in defying the odds and developing strategic growth that's meant for experts who lead their own revolutions and movements. Now, listen, you get to a certain point in your business where you start to think bigger as an expert. You're not just thinking, I want to sign some clients. You're thinking, I want to scale an empire and I want to create a change that affects millions of people. Now, so many of our clients are smart experts and professionals, men and women who are therapists, accountants, doctors, lawyers, and renowned coaches with a truly transformative service that defies the everyday basic crowd. And yet, when they come to us, they feel a little bit boxed in. They're trying to operate in the same way that non experts do, but they move differently. They make big shifts, they take massive actions, and they want to spread their expertise in a major way. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about what it means to create expert led growth and the two biggest roadblocks and how to navigate them and creating a growth strategy that's rooted in your next level expertise. Now, there's two things we're going to cover in today's episode. The first is we're going to talk about how we actually need to move away from hype marketing tactics that so many so called gurus are teaching you, and why that's actually meant for more cookie cutter coaches and service businesses, and why, as experts, we need to learn how to market differently. Next, we're going to talk about what it means to actually expand your transformative expertise using high impact leverage scaling through certifications, licensing, and one to many offers that aren't reliant on you. Now, let's get real. You're an expert. There's absolutely no doubt about it. You have cultivated a level of experience, skills, and a deeply transformative support that has left your clients raving about your work and has industry leaders paying attention. Now, newsflash, expert led businesses shouldn't look and act like the wannabes and everybody's, the fake experts. Yet, up until now, we've been forced to fit the mold. And as experts, we've been taught to build businesses like non experts. And it takes you from this elite expert level status to the run of the mill option that we see on every single corner. And you see it show up in every aspect of your business, from the business models that we operate in and how we market and sell to the opportunities that are available to us. It's time to operate in your expertise and grow an expert led business strategically. So, we're going to dig into and share with you how our clients have been able to use their innovative methods to create results like building out and scaling a multi-million-dollar certification program that absolutely rocked the spiritual healing industry, or how one of our other clients developed and licensed her methodology to industry leaders who wanted to be able to use that method to help their clients, or how our client was able to scale to $300,000 months as a financial consulting business with a dedicated and mission-driven team. And the reason why she was able to do that is because her team was able to partner with her on her innovative methodology. Or like our client who was able to be seen and recognized as an industry leader and sought out in the mental health industry by top media. All of these are things that our clients have been able to achieve. And in the spirit of always keeping it real, I need you to hear this. You are an expert, but if you are using non expert marketing, then you're falling down the rabbit hole of hype marketing and thinking that you have to use these flashy tactics just to try and win more business. But newsflash, this is not the answer to expert led success. So whether you've fallen for it in your own quest for growth or you've been taught to do it, hype marketing is not the answer. Now, I want to share with you a quick story. I recently received an email from someone who literally only uses hype marketing as her selling process. Now, one of the things that caught me a little bit of off guard was the fact that she was actually sharing with people that they needed to stop talking about their methodology and stop talking about the processes they use to drive results. And this couldn't be more false. I see this happening all the time in the guru industry, is that we've been taught not to tell people the how. Now, what I want you to understand is when we're breaking down our methodology, we're not actually giving them DIY steps, but we are sharing with them what we believe are the key components to creating success. Now, this is a really important factor for so many reasons, but the problem that we don't really recognize, and what I really want to share with you here today, is when you're an expert and you're using this hype style marketing, the problem becomes is that we're putting ourselves in the same category. So while these people are comfortable speaking to hype and talking about huge cash months that may or may not be true, the reality is that they're not actually communicating their process or their method because they don't have a process or a method that's worth sharing. So their entire premise of how they're gaining clients and gaining notoriety is really just based on creating a lot of hype. Now, we know that this isn't sustainable, but more importantly, it's actually ruining reputations because when people come into those programs and they realize that what they signed up for wasn't what they expected and or there was no method in sight, then we've ruined the reputation. But for a lot of people using hype marketing, that doesn't matter to them. They're not here thinking about the longevity of their business or their ability to sustain the reputation that they're building. They don't care about that at all because they're not really planning on creating a reputation. Their only goal here is to create a huge uptick in the revenue they're bringing into their business without any responsibility to the longevity and the sustainability of how that's actually affecting them. Now, what I want you to understand is if you truly have something innovative, you had a method that you knew was absolutely revolutionary, it was changing what you were doing. Why wouldn't you want to share that? I want you to think about that. And maybe it's from the standpoint of recognizing why we shouldn't be buying into hype marketing alone, but also realizing that as an expert, you have something valuable to share. You're not a dime a dozen solution. Therefore, using hype marketing that makes you look like everyone else out there is only putting you in that same category. As an expert, it is your job to be able to highlight your expertise and really showcase for others how your methodology works and highlights really the opportunity in that, then you are literally creating a category of expertise that doesn't exist much in the online business world specifically because it's so easy to hide behind hype marketing. Leveraging that hype marketing is only putting us more in a category of being in a saturated space and looking like everyone else when all we ever wanted to do was really showcase our expertise. It also really focuses on bringing in misaligned clients who are in it for the wrong reason. So if you feel like you've used hype marketing and you've experienced the other side of it where you're getting clients who maybe aren't so serious, they don't do the work, they're asking for refunds, and they're the type of clients that make you want to rip your hair out. Hype marketing is the reason why, versus expert led marketing that really focuses on speaking to the expertise that you bring. And the key to this is really recognizing and identifying where the gap is and speaking to that. Your expertise only becomes highlighted when we're able to highlight that. So let me share with you a great example. I had a spiritual leader who came to me. She was making 50K months, and we were able to support her in scaling to 250K months. Now, the reason this worked, because I like to give you all the details, she came to me using mediocre hype style marketing. She looked and acted like any other person in her industry, and she was sending out hundreds of DMs a day. She ran a masterclass every month. She had this ascension ladder of offers from a $7 offer up to a $15,000 offer, and she was doing it like everyone else out there. She had the clinking champagne glasses, and it was no wonder that people were treating her like every other solution out there. She was indistinguishable. You could have put someone else's name on her content, on her programs, and no one would have known the difference. Now, the shift that we made is we knew that she was an expert. I had identified that on our very first call to be able to know that she had something really powerful and innovative about her approach. Now, what we realized was that we created what we call our panel of innovation. So, what through a conversation that we had with her, she would come to us and say, she would roll her eyes and say that everyone was out there teaching these ridiculous things that don't work. And she'd explain why they didn't work and why that was so harmful to people. And she would share that so many people were struggling when it actually could be so much easier. Within one conversation, we identified her panel of innovation because she wasn't talking about those things. She was told to speak to big money wins and wealth and all the things that everyone else was talking about and creating this image of her that again looked like everyone else. She was told that she needed to appeal to what everyone wanted. But her panel of innovation was actually her ability to speak as an expert and lead a new conversation. Now, typical non experts won't understand that because they do what's worked for them in creating hype and excitement Whereas when you're an expert, you actually have something to add to the conversation. You have a new conversation to lead. Now, within just 30 days, we were able to create a structure within her process that blew her business out of the water and landed her a 250K month that she was able to sustain month after month. So, this is what it looked like. What we were able to do is we started with her podcast. So, within 30 days, we started by structuring her podcast. We knew that she had people already listening on her podcast because she had built massive authority, even though she was starting to look like everyone else. So, what we did is we looked at 4 key podcasts that she could create and emails that were attached to that so that she could actually speak to her level or her panel of innovation. Now, what she was able to do from that is we attached a simple Q&A that supported those episodes and again structured her method that we had developed together and shared the opportunity to work with her. Now, she was no longer pushing her $100 offers and her 2K course that she hated running. We made her expertise run the show. Her methodology was front and center. She was able to clearly communicate the innovation that she brought to the table and created that panel of innovation. From that, she enrolled 3 clients into her 50K one-on-one offer and went on to add an additional 7 new clients into her 15K mastermind. These were high level clients, people that she loved working with. And up until that point, she had believed that those people didn't exist in her audience or that they were few and far between. Now, to give you a bird's eye view of what the panel of innovation really consists of, number one is understanding the market. I can't say it enough, but so many businesses are operating without knowledge within the market. Having a consistent competitive analysis, market analysis, and really understanding and validating our messaging is really what's going to allow us to drive faster results within your business. So, the first thing we need to identify is the market gap that people are either desperate to avoid or actively looking for a way to solve for. Number two is having an innovative method. There's just no other way to say this that if you're operating in a space where you look and act like everyone else, you're not operating from a space of actually being able to create innovation. Once we have innovation, the third step in the process is using what we call high intent mechanisms. So in the case of our client, this was a podcast plus a Q&A that was really centered around understanding her highest intent clients, that 10% of her audience who actively was looking for a way to make a decision and didn't want to be put through the ringer through these low intent mechanisms and marketing process that we see so often. And we attach that to a highly provocative and disruptive answer to their needs. This matters because this is ultimately what allows us to identify the marketing and sales tools and strategies that are going to drive an expert led business, create a space where we're no longer being compared to non experts. Now, the second thing I want to talk about today is the business model. Now, what it looks like is that we are really trying to build an empire as an expert, and it's about expanding expertise. That's ultimately the highlight of what we're trying to do here. Now, building an empire of true transformation is what our clients are after. They're looking at their business as a vehicle for that type of change. So, right now, so many people are operating a business model that's made for those average Joes. They're leveraging low ticket offers that are only attached to a funnel in hopes of ascending people, that only leaves them in long DM conversations and back and forth emails where people aren't serious about taking the next step, or they're working one on one in these containers that leave them absolutely drained and exhausted. Or they're building these small group offerings with less than serious clients that barely show up or need to be majorly handheld in order to get the results. And you want more, right? You want a big shift. You want to be able to have your method change lives of millions of people. But the idea of doing that as is right now is absolutely exhausting for you because your business model isn't set up in a sustainable way to create an expert led business where right now the reality is you are the magic. Your expertise is the magic. People are paying for you and you become the glue that holds everything together. But here's the truth. As long as your expertise is the magic and your brain is the thing that people are paying for, you're always going to be stunted and have to grow slowly, or it's not going to be sustainable and you're going to drive yourself to burnout. The key to growth by the millions is having a leveraged growth plan where changing billions of lives isn't always reliant on you. This is what allows you to create transformation, but not be tied to your computer in order to create it. So let's discuss the 3 different approaches and how this can be done in an expert led business while also understanding the key to all of these. So, number one is having a scalable and leveraged one to many offer. This can look like a high end mastermind program, a group coaching offer, a membership, etc. What we recognize isn't necessarily the type of offer it is, but the goal behind it having the ability to have an offer that still drives incredible results for your clients, but is leveraged and scalable. Now, the key factor to this is that it doesn't need to be reliant on you, right? And your expertise. So if you have a program that right now is fully dependent upon you being present in order for your clients to get success, then we know that you're operating in a reactive approach and you're not going to be able to scale this long term without needing to add one of two things. One is the systems or adding the people to support you. Either way, whether we're adding systems or we're adding a support team to really help us drive the mission that we have and be able to grow it, is that ultimately we need to be able to have a methodology in place. So we cannot outsource or systemize the way we support our clients if right now it's happening inside of our head. So what we need to be able to do is create a proactive programming, and you've heard me talk about this a lot. It's understanding and knowing what it is that you're doing to drive results for your clients and then codifying it. So having a way and an approach that proactively supports them and being able to drive those results, and most importantly, is something that you can have other people come in, whether that's partnerships and team or systems that can support people in partnering on that vision and taking what you've developed and scale it. So again, the way I look at this is there's a lot of people who bring on excessive number of people on the back end to run their programs. And a lot of people get really frustrated over this because they get bought into individuals thinking that they're going to get one variation of something and only to come into the program and feel like they're getting something totally different. Now, the problem isn't that we have people supporting on the back end. That's important. We realize and recognize that as we grow and scale, there's only so much of us we can give. But the problem becomes whether we're leveraging systems. So that could be course platforms and built in pieces to the puzzle, such as like we use multidimensional learning, or we bring in team who supports as co-coaches or supporting in accountability, etc. The problem isn't how we do it, it's what we have in order to achieve that. So if we do not codify our expertise, we do not have a way to actually have somebody else pick up on the methodology that we are putting down and be able to take that and apply it, then we're essentially having somebody else who has a completely different thought process, a different way about doing things, and allowing them to do it that way, even though we've had people buy in on a different way. So, developing that methodology is what allows us to do that. That's the very first way that we focus on codifying the entire process so that you have a scalable one to many offer that can either be supported on the back end by systems or be supported on the back end by team and support coaches who can support you in that. Now, again, I want you to realize that when we're looking at massive scale building empires, making millions of dollars a month in their business, which is a lot of what our clients are doing, that scalable one to many offer really requires them to codify their expertise in a way that can be leveraged amongst, again, systems or having team that supports that. Now, the second thing that we want to talk about today is having a leveraged approach using certifications. So, again, when you are an expert led business, you have something that drives results. You're creating something that is truly life changing. And it's knowing and understanding that when we create certification programs, we're able to take and understand these core principles of a methodology and create a practical skill set and having actionable ways that allow them to apply that learning. I have another client who's built an incredible world renowned subconscious healing certification program that uses a unique blend of hypnosis and tapping combined with visual exercises. And again, the key to why she's able to create such massive success is that she created a specific and innovative methodology and approach that now would allow her to apply that specifically to other people's businesses. So they're coming in wanting to become certified practitioners and become certified in her process because she has a methodology that's tried and true that really allows them to create a expert level version of authority, but also be able to have the learning and the ability to take their business up a notch. So it's going to fast track their success and it leverages your innovative approach in order to get there. And it's really good for you because you're creating this brand new revenue stream and the ability to really expand your reach and the power behind your work by certifying other people in doing what you're doing. So you're almost like allowing your methodology to live on beyond just you because you're able to teach others that methodology so that they can apply that in their own lives and businesses as well. Now, the third and final thing that we want to talk about when it comes to really having a scalable business model that is leveraged again as an expert is licensing. So, the way to think about licensing is that you are the content owner, you're the licensor, and you're giving permission to a company or an individual to become the licensee. And what they're doing is they're using your content for a specific period of time and a specific purpose. Now, when you do this correctly, it can be really incredible and a win partnership. But essentially, what you're doing is you're allowing them to take over your content and use that in their own business. So Brene Brown does this famously with Dare to Lead and allows them to create not only a certification, but also licensing the resources to be able to leverage that as well. So there's a lot of companies that do this really well. And the key behind this, again, is that you're letting people borrow your content to streamline and systemize and propel their growth because they're leveraging what you've already created, your proprietary and innovative methodology. So the key to really being able to understand how we can create these leverageable business models and offers is realizing and recognizing that we need the methodology that allows us to do that. So you cannot just simply go out and build a certification program or license out what you're doing and create that scalability and leverage within your one-to-many offers without having a clearly defined methodology that actually drives results. So we realize that a lot of people, when it comes to building out that methodology that allows them to create, again, those certification programs, licensing, or a scalable one-to-many offer that somebody else can come in and support them on, is it could take decades. It can take decades for them to identify that methodology and codify what they're doing. Now, when we realize it, there's methodology and then there's innovative methodology. So when we talk about it, we talk innovative methodology because we're not looking to just solely create something that can be duplicated by someone else. That's just something someone found on YouTube and essentially just applied the same process. That's not going to sell and it's not going to create a long-term plan of massively being able to grow and have the sustainability within your business. So when we look at this, we're looking about basing this around your innovative methodology because that allows us to create the expert-led business model that supports us in being able to achieve that long term. So again, we want to create longevity, then innovation is the answer to creating longevity within an expert-led business. And we want to be able to create that scalability and that leveraged business model. We need to recognize that innovation is the driving force behind that because that's what allows people to say that this is the only option for me. I want to become a certified practitioner of this method because they recognize and identify how that method solves for the problem that others can't. They want to license what you're doing because they know that it works. They see how it works. That wouldn't be possible if we didn't have innovative methodology. So again, when you are selling certification, asking others to become certified in your approach, and you're licensing someone and asking them to take on what you're doing, they're asking themselves, is this innovative? Is this something that nobody else does? Is this going to give me a leg up in my business or in my life? And is this solving for a problem that nobody else really does? Because why else would I go and become certified or licensed in something if I don't see the value behind their method and what they're doing? So it all stems from really being able to understand that the key to that process is identifying your innovative methodology. And this is why this is the first step within our EZS method, because we understand that innovative methodology is the key that unlocks all doors. And there's a few things that go into this. Number one, we're identifying the market gaps and identifying where those opportunities for your business is. And then we're reverse engineering and saying, what do I already currently have in place that's going to solve for that gap? Or where are my opportunities to solve for that gap? So a lot of our clients come in and they either already have some sort of methodology in place or they have absolutely no clue what their methodology is, nor do they know if it's innovative. And the cool thing is that we're able to look at it, whether you're one versus the other. We go through a very engineered process that allows us to develop and identify innovation. And it doesn't happen in silos. It happens it doesn't happen when we're sitting alone at a computer. Oftentimes we can't even see our own innovation. Nonetheless, do we know how to communicate that innovation? It's much like our nose. We're too close to it to really be able to see it. So that's why our process really helps them identify going through the market, identifying where those market gaps are, seeing where our points of opportunity are to create innovation, and then being able to look at it and say, do we currently have these pieces in place and how can we apply those and or where are the opportunities where we can create new innovative approaches to solve for that gap? So it's creating a sustainable way to look at growth long term where we're going to apply what we already have in place, but also be able to see in the long run, here's all these new opportunities I have to create new innovation within my business to consistently grow and scale our business. So once we've identified that methodology, then it's about codifying that methodology. So having your methodology is really the key that unlocks all the doors. Then it's about really applying that to your messaging, to your marketing, to your sales, to your offers. It becomes that everything is just a replication of and an application of your methodology. So when we look at methodology, we look at it from a standpoint of how do we take this now and apply it to your marketing, to your sales, to your offering and packaging and curriculum and all the different ways that it's going to be applied. So our clients are able to build certification programs in record time. I'm talking 30 to 60 days because their methodology has already clearly laid out the application and it becomes really simplified because they're just making some tweaks and we're shifting some pieces where we can be more proactive instead of reactive. And again, we're codifying that methodology. We create a step by step approach that allows them to understand and learn and apply it without being reliant on you. This is the power behind that EZS method. And why I'm so obsessed is because truly it's built around innovation being the driving force. So I talked a little bit about this already, but your innovative methodology is the key that unlocks all doors. It's what allows you to create innovative authority. And the reason that it works so well is that our systems and our strategies are really built around that innovation. So they're able to maintain and sustain the success they have because they've developed an innovative methodology that isn't reliant on tactics or algorithm changes or always trying to stay top of mind. So the first thing that we work with our clients is again developing that innovative methodology, which highlights the opportunities and creates those spaces where we can fill for those gaps and create future opportunities through our innovative gap methodology. That's step one. Step two is that once we've developed that, it's applying it in all other areas of the business, which is the client acquisition process. So when we look at having methodology, it's how can we apply that within our marketing and our sales systems. So we've developed our 2-lane sales highway that supports and not only marketing to your highest intent clients and those ready to buy clients and but also having the bingeable sales system that allows you to automate conversions and get leads to sell themselves. So we developed the only system in existence that actually leverages our proprietary mimic decision making process so that we're actually mimicking people's natural decision making and their natural behavior to create conversions where you don't have to always be present. So again, it's not only are we looking at it from the standpoint of are we making our offers not be so reliant on us, but also are we making your marketing and sales system not being reliant on you? And again, it's codifying and understanding your methodology, knowing how to apply that to marketing and your sales systems. And that's why step two of our EZS method. So step three, again, is how we're actually going to apply that inside of our results and retention, which is ultimately the long game. How do we actually get clients results at scale? And that again is a different way that we can apply, whether that's a certification program, a scalable one-to-many offer, licensing, etc. Your methodology now gets applied within that. And we use what we call our consistent results mechanisms to ensure that our clients are getting results. And we're able to do that at scale without it being reliant on you. This is the power behind the ECS method. It's what allows expert-led businesses to work smarter and not simply work harder. And ultimately, that's what our business means to us as experts. So if you're ready to learn a little bit more about how we can create an expert-led business strategy that's going to grow with you and allow you to put a stake in the ground of where you are and where you're creating inbound demand so you can really grow a business that's not always relying on you, but creates massive transformation, I want to invite you to the next step to book a call directly with me. You can head on over to easyesleads.com/call and book a growth optimization call directly with me. You and I will look at your current client acquisition process. I'll highlight for you where the biggest gaps are and how I can actually help you use the EZS method to fast track that success and get leads to sell themselves. And if you're like, I want to learn a little bit more about the methodology, Naz, where can I do that? You want to see what that actually looks like, I want to invite you to go binge our mini series where we break down exactly how we use the Netflix effect to get leads to sell themselves using our EZS method. So head on over to easyesleads.com to check that out now. But as always, we love and appreciate when you rate and subscribe and share this with a friend. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear, how are you running your expert-led business? If you're finding that you need a different approach than the standard typical way that people are teaching things, head over to Instagram at Next Level Up CEO and send me a message. Share with me your biggest takeaway from this week's episode. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.